Hello, Judy Davidson with Franchoice, and my guest today is Shauna Bergstrom with Home Franchise Concepts, and we are here to talk to you about 8 different brands from HFC who has over 30 years experience in franchising. And so, Shauna, I think it's a good idea maybe just to give a high-level overview of the 8 different brands, and so take it away.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity just to talk about it. I'm really passionate about it. So thank you so much for having me.
Thank
Yeah.
you for joining.
So we are 8 different brands. It's under Home Franchise Concepts. And as you kind of know, that started with Budget Blinds as kind of the mothership in 1992. And
Yes.
we've grown that franchise to, it's a top 20 franchise in the world. Did over $1 billion in sales last year. And so over time, what we're doing is we'll find a brand that's already doing really well, but they just don't have the infrastructure to continue to grow. So we don't buy struggling brands. We tend to buy brands that are just, they don't have that infrastructure anymore. So over time, we have brought on different home service brands. And yeah, now we're at 8, and we continue to look at other brands that we might be able to help grow and bring into the family.
Yes. And so speaking of family, HFC is owned by JM Family. Do you want to give a little background on that?
Yeah, so JM Family Enterprises, they bought us, I think, about maybe a little over 3 years ago. So they are a $19 billion privately held company, which is unique because we've mostly been owned by private equity, so they buy you, they fatten you up, they might buy brands and then they sell you in 3 years or 5 years.
Right.
So JM Family is very much about family. There's no one in Home Franchise Concepts that is called an employee. We're all called associates. Our franchisees are our customers. So there's very much this idea of we are a family-oriented business. And it's been really nice to see them come in with the resources that they have to really support our franchisees. They supported them through COVID. They ended up not needing it because we broke records with all of our brands, but they were there offering rebates. They offered waiving royalty. They've really been incredible to our franchisees. And it really speaks to that family and that community. And they've really brought that culture to Home Franchise Concepts.
Right. And I think what's important is that people will come to learn that they will be part of a smaller family within a larger family, if you will.
Right, exactly.
Unlike other large brick and mortar brands like Subway, where franchisees are referred to as store number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
Right, right.
they will be part of the family with Budget Blinds, tailored closet, premier garage, concrete craft, Advanta clean, kitchen tune-up, bath tune-up, 2 maids, and a mop, and Aussie Petmobile, which I'll let you give a high level overview of each.
So
And also in my newsletter, I will link the HFC website for people to learn more as well. So let's talk about the commonality of all of your brands. They're home based.
yeah,
So with home based comes lower investment,
right.
less than half of where most brick and mortar businesses start at. Um, Faster ramp up. With a brick and mortar, it's like birthing a baby. You're looking
Right,
at 9+ months just to get the doors open.
right.
Faster ramp up. Soon as someone is awarded a franchise, they go to training and they're in business
Yeah,
within.
when they come out the door, there's leads in their inbox for our
Right.
brand.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah,
Amazing. Higher profit margins, again, compared to brick and mortar. You don't have the high overhead that you do.
right.
You have higher profit margins. Most of your businesses are needs-based essential services. And you said that revenues grew during the pandemic.
Right. So, I think originally the story was, well, home-based, businesses, they grew because everybody was home and they were focused on the home. We continue to grow. We continue to see that trend even as people go back to work. But I do think there was a moment where people were at home going, oh, we haven't replaced our blinds in this long, or our closets are a mess, or our garages are a nightmare, or, we need to fix our pool deck with a new concrete overlay. So yes, we did see that increase. And I think the nice thing with home franchise concepts is we aren't dealing with the same supply chain issues that some of our competitors have, or some of the mom and pops have, because we're their number one customer. We have so many brands that use the same vendors and the same suppliers, that we are their number one customer. So we were lucky during the pandemic, and even now, that we don't face the same issues that some of our competitors face, or some of the smaller organizations, because we're an important customer to those vendors.
Right, and they're home services that most customers need. Like, I'm
Right,
looking at your list, and yeah, I need all of that, or I've used all of that.
right, right.
And so I would imagine that once one of your franchisees gets their foot in the door, so to speak, there's a lot of cross promotional marketing and advertising that goes on between your brands.
Yeah, absolutely. So, in some cases, if you're dealing with your own brand, there's recurring reasons to go back into the home. A lot of times for budget blinds, you might be doing just the downstairs, but they have such a great customer experience, which is really the most important thing, that then you're doing their upstairs, and then you're doing their vacation home, and then you might be doing the Airbnb. So there's that. But then there's also just, we're a family, right? So we're all referring each other. One of the things that we do as advisors is we make sure that we introduce a new franchisee to other franchisees in the area of other brands, so that they're all working together, which just makes that franchisee look bigger and better than they would if they were just selling that one product. So
Yeah,
there's the recurring side of it with all of our brands, but there's also the ability to refer other products and services.
yeah, which is amazing. And so let's talk about your ideal candidate. Um, Talk about it. Who is your
Ideal
ideal candidate?
candidate. Yeah, I think the thing that comes to mind is, somebody that wants to be involved in their community,
Yeah,
right? I don't mean that they have to be, involved in every networking group. I mean, the lead generation for our brands is, I've really never seen. I've been in franchising for 20 years. I've never seen anything like it. But you do have to be somebody who's out in the community, and has their pulse on the community, and wants to make that contribution, in the community. Um, I think our franchisees like to help people solve problems, right? So sometimes it's window coverings, sometimes it's their golden doodle, and sometimes it's a dirty house. But you have that drive to help people, and a big word that I see that comes up a lot is transformation. They can look at something and go, yeah, that's good, but I can make that better, and they're driven by the desire to make that happen. So transformation, and just wanting to help people.
yeah, yeah. And I always like to say franchise owners should be like the mayor of the business,
Yeah,
out there shaking hands, kissing babies, promoting, spreading goodwill. And so, unlike a brick and mortar business where you're not tied to an actual physical location,
right.
um, the administrivia stuff can be done from your home office, and then you're out there. You have the flexibility and a better quality of life as you are scheduling your appointments with your clients, around your schedule, around soccer
Yep.
practice and team games, and just it just overall is a better quality of life and flexibility, I would say.
And it's interesting because we talk about that in franchising a lot. It's like, okay, well, you have this corporate job and you want work-life balance. And I think when you are looking at home-based businesses, you really are looking at a work-life balance, because all of our brands are, you go and you consult with the customer in their home. And then you decide when you want to do that admin work. And you also, you don't have inventory, there's not overhead. You don't have those kinds of things in a home-based business. So you do your admin work when you have time. You may be doing it at night when the kids are asleep. You might be doing it on Sunday and you catch it all up at one time, but you kind of control that, and you're not, in a space where you're waiting for a customer to show up. You're setting those appointments when you want those appointments to happen.
Right, yeah, that's beautiful. And most of us, because of the pandemic, we're all used to working, home-based virtual offices anyway.
Right, right.
Um, so I of the 3,000 franchise businesses out there, Most people, when they think of franchising, is restaurant and retail, McDonald's, Subway, etc. Most people aren't aware of the 3,000. Probably more than half of them are in these needs-based essential services, which you specialize in. Did you want to touch a little bit on each brand, what it is and what it does?
Oh, yeah. So starting with the queen with budget blinds. So that is custom window coverings. So that's been around since 1992. Just a beautiful business. It's going into the home and consulting with the homeowner on window coverings. It also includes draperies, throw pillows to match the draperies. We can do bedspreads. We can do area rugs. So again, it's that design element, but it's not just blinds. We also have different price points for that one. So we can meet that homeowner on their price point, 3 different price points. So budget blinds, in that it can be for someone on a budget all the way up to, quality custom wood blinds, plantation shutters. So that's budget blinds based. Tailored living would be in-home organization, closets, mud rooms, home offices, the Murphy beds that fold out from the wall, and then the garage. So organization in the garage, epoxy flooring, rubberized tiles that can go in the garage. Mm-hmm. So that one is a little bit more, project manager. That's who we'd be looking for that brand, because there's just more pieces. There's more components to that one. Concrete craft is, there's 2 sides to it. We can make concrete look beautiful and like natural stone or something different, or we can reconstruct existing concrete that's cracked and spalled and make it look beautiful and new again. Right. So all of those, it's still design, but there's just different things. So if you think about concrete, it's everywhere. Pathways, balconies, pool decks, it's everywhere. So if you can find the person that would think that was fun to be talking to homeowners about that, I love concrete craft. Advana-Clean is mold and water damage. So that is very much a need-based business, right? You're really, really serving your community in that role. Somebody has a crisis and you're there to serve that crisis. So Advana-Clean, your fire damage, you're cleaning up water, you're making sure the job's been done correctly. So
emergency restoration.
Kitchen tune-up I love kitchen tune-up and bath tune-up because important places in the home, high value places in the home, you're just tuning up what's there. Yeah. So we're not going to rip everything out. We're just going to tune up what's in the home, refacing, redooring, maybe a new backsplash, new countertop. We can do flooring in the kitchen. So tuning up that kitchen. Bath tune-up is we can put in a new vanity. We can take out the old tub. We can tile and do a stand-up shower. We can completely reimagine that bathroom. We have curated art boards for that brand where the customer just picks what they want it to look like, and then we execute on that art board. So it's a really fun one. Two Maids is the only one kind of in our portfolio that can be semi-absentee and has recurring, most of it is based on recurring revenue. So, you're putting that, you're getting that job, that house cleaner in that home and getting them to come back on an ongoing basis. So Two Maids is a cleaning service. Yep. It's based on performance. It's the only maid service where it's paid on performance. So the professional house cleaner is paid based on the rating they receive from the customer. So there's
unique.
Yeah, so there's an app that's on their phone where they rate the customer, and then the franchisee pays those professional house cleaners based on that rating.
That's very unique. I've never heard of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I want them to come out to my home. We don't have them here yet, but I'm hoping. And then Aussie is we're going to take a mobile grooming unit out to the home and groom pets in the driveway or, in the parking lot of the home. So dogs, cats, they do all kinds of stuff, believe it or not. I've actually heard they bathe cats, which I can't imagine, but that's another service.
So these are all services that most consumers need.
Yep.
I certainly have used most of these, if not all of them. I've been through 2 emergency restoration crises, no fun at all. But with that, you can tune up your bath, you can tune up your kitchen. I mean, if you have an emergency restoration business, you need a lot of these types of
They go hand in hand. They do.
Yeah. So let's talk a bit about the process. A lot of people think you can just buy a franchise off the internet, and that's not the case. You can do some research, but in order to be awarded a franchise, you have to go through a thorough mutual due diligence process. So do you want to touch on that a little bit?
Yeah. So, with Home Franchise Concepts, there's 8 of us that represent these brands. We're called licensing advisors for a reason. We're advising. So we just want to be a resource for people to give them as much information and educate them as much as we can so that they can go into an approval process. So we start out with an introduction call, generally via Zoom. We want to see who we're talking to, and we just get to know, who you are, what drives you, what you're interested in. And we go through the brand or brands. Sometimes it's more than one that someone's interested in, and then we set up a call for, to review the franchise disclosure document. We'll set up another one to talk about recorded calls from our franchisees. What they're hearing on those calls. What's driving them? Are they being driven by those calls? And then we get them talking to franchisees in one-on-one conversations. And then at that point, if it's still looking like a mutual fit, we move them into an approval process where they fill out our application. They will meet with our chief development officer and then get approval from our chief development officer, our chief financial officer, and then ultimately the brand president. So all of our brands have their own president and they get final approval. And at that point they can attend, we have a virtual discovery day for all of our.
All right, perfect. I just want to circle back on budget blinds.
Okay.
A couple questions there. It's been probably one of the top franchises that we at FranChoice have been able to help our candidates be awarded since 2005, since, I've been doing this. But with that, I think there's over 900 locations with budget blinds. So with that, because of the success of that, most top markets are sold out.
Right.
So we encourage people to be passionate about being a business owner first, and whatever product or service happens to be second to their passion of owning a great business. Is that kind of the same philosophy at HFC?
Yeah. And I think I'm sure you've experienced this too, is the aha moment that they have if they're willing to be passionate about being a business owner and just go through a process of discovery. And, you start looking at margins and you start looking at profit and you start looking at what the potential is and what your daily life can look like. And all of a sudden you become very passionate about that brand and that thing. So I would agree 100%. I think it's wanting to be a business owner first and being open to everything. And then you fall in love with it through your homework and through your discovery.
Right. I don't know if we talked about average investment of all your brands. It's roughly around 150,000 total.
Right. Right. If you're looking at one territory, we try to keep it in that 150,000 range.
And that's about half of what most brick and mortar starts at. So I think that's a huge important. And with lower investments, lower overhead becomes higher profit margins.
Right.
Also, I forgot to ask you, budget blinds had in their item 19 in their federal disclosure document, they had a sales closure ratio. Do they still have that?
The gross sales?
No, I'm sorry, a sales closure ratio. So.
Oh, right. Yes. So I believe the close rate on the new FDD is 67%.
I think you're one of very few franchises that actually posts a sales closure ratio. So that means for almost 7 out of 10 sales calls your franchisees go on, they walk out with an invoice.
Right. Right. And we do, tailored living is 60%. I'm Advana Clean is 70%. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, I do. And that speaks to this mothership of budget blinds, that we did figure out marketing and we did figure out a process, and that we are able to apply that to our brands as we bring a new brand on. It is very plug and play. So we know that it works. We don't just say we have a proven process, we prove the process, through the closing ratio and gross sales.
Right. But before that comes sales and or marketing and advertising. I'd have to say at least a couple times a week while I'm driving around town, I hear your commercials on the
Mhm.
radio on Sirius XM.
Yep.
So, do you want to touch on what you do to get customers, get the phone to ring? And
So it's always where we try to meet the consumer wherever they are in that moment. So I can tell you that today it's XM radio spots and we target regions. We do HGTV shows like, Fixer Upper, Property Brothers, Extreme Makeover. We do those kinds of shows on a more regional, national level. Then on a local level, we do obviously pay-per-click SEO kinds of things, but then we do Instagram campaigns, we do Facebook campaigns. We target that woman in her 40s that has a dual income. We know exactly what we're looking for. We can look at that in real time. But if tomorrow television commercials work again, because people start watching television commercials again, we're going to know that because we're constantly on the pulse of knowing where consumers are getting their information. It's not on television commercials, and those are expensive. So we don't waste our time with that. We're going to spend more time working with social media influencers and then blasting things out in that region on Instagram or Facebook or Pinterest. So we're on a journey with our consumers, and we're constantly pivoting. And the nice thing is we can do that with our franchisees. We can pivot to wherever that customer is getting their information.
so, am I going to start seeing a lot of HFC brands in my Instagram feed now?
If you choose to, yeah. So I think I followed, I have a few concrete craft franchisees that I just love, and I obviously follow them. And now, we went viral on TikTok for concrete craft. We hit 5 million in 2 days just for showing an overlay.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
So you should start, seeing it. Yeah, that's the goal. Meet the consumer where they are.
Well, let's talk about next steps. So, as I mentioned, I'm going to have, I'll post the link to the website on my newsletter. And the next steps would be if anyone is interested in learning more about any of your brands, they'd reach out to me. I'd get them pre qualified. I'd see what's available in the marketplace from your 8 brands, and then they would start the process with you.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you and I work together and try to make sure that, we're finding them something that's a good fit.
Right, perfect. And at the end of the process, I forgot to mention this earlier, but Shauna is the best singer in franchising. So when you're awarded,
but I've been doing it a long time. I've been doing it.
when you're awarded a franchise, Shauna will sing a song and I'll do an Irish dance. How about that?
Love it. I love it. I will do it.
All right. Anything else before we wrap up?
I think that's it. I think, it's, you have such a good handle on franchising, and, I know that you are such an advocate for your clients, and I know that you'll take good care of them, and just know that if they do come through Home Franchise Concepts, we really will take them through a very detailed discovery and have some fun and see if something fits.
And at the end of the day, you got to have fun. And my candidates that I work with, they are like family to me.
Yes.
And so it really warms my heart knowing that I'm putting them in good hands.